days ago, I read an article in CNBC that nearly half of all Americans are falling deeper in debt. That was us 5 years ago before we left the United States and moved to Ecuador.
We were living the typical American lifestyle. We had a mortgage on a really nice house that I had renovated before I moved in. We had 2 cars and 1 car loan. My car was paid off. We still had credit card bills and a ginormous student loan.
That was mine.
Yeah. But, we were making decent money. I was self-employed as a software developer and web designer, and Amelia had a high-paying job, so we were doing all right.
But then everything changed. JP started having issues with his legs, and slowly but surely he was finding it more and more difficult to walk. And that ended up leading to 2 surgeries, one which was a bit of an emergency surgery. It was a terrifying time for us.
Yeah, it was really scary. And as being self-employed, I couldn't work once that whole thing started. Also scared to death. I was on all kinds of pain medications. There's 3 months in there that I really don't remember at all. The drugs definitely have an impact on your quality of life.
Well, I remember JP. I was there, and it was really difficult because JP did have to learn how to walk again. I had to leave my job and take a local job because before I had been traveling throughout the country, I needed to stay local, which resulted in a big pay cut of about 40%, so I could stay home and take care of JP.
Yeah, because it took me a while to relearn how to walk. I had a walker, and I started just walking around laps in our house, and then eventually I made it outside and I could make it 1 block and then 2 blocks, and then pretty soon I was able to walk with a cane. But that took a while to get my legs working again. It's so much damage done on my spinal cord that for a time I didn't know if I would ever be able to walk.
During that time, of course, the debt was continuing to pile up. So we were at a crossroads. We had to decide, do we refinance our house and take out a second mortgage, or do we just sell everything and downsize? We went through a lot of
soul searching.
Yes. The good news is there's always a silver lining, is that we both had wanted to live abroad and experience other cultures. So we started really thinking of outside the borders, as we like to say, and what are other options besides the traditional option of just getting a second mortgage or just moving into a smaller place.
Thankfully, my house had appreciated quite a bit. I lived there for 5 years. Like I said, I renovated it before I moved in, so I got it pretty cheap. It was like a fix and live situation. So it had gone up quite a bit, and all of that equity I used to pay off our credit cards.
Well, it wasn't just credit cards, but just medical bills, just life, just bills in general, because unfortunately my salary wasn't enough to cover our monthly expenses, which were around $5,000 after we downsized and moved into a 1-bedroom apartment in Denver.
Yeah, that was $5,000 without the debt payments for the student loan. And we eventually had to take out a lending club loan too to help cover that difference. We just weren't making enough. Our expenses were going up, our debt payments were going up, and our income was going down. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that.
Especially now with inflation. We weren't dealing with inflation during that time. But now things are even more difficult for people. So we had an estate sale. We sold almost everything we owned, moved into that little 1-bedroom apartment, and started planning our life abroad. And here we are in Ecuador with big smiles on our faces.
I actually wanted to move directly abroad after we sold our house, but I still wasn't recovered. My back was still not great, and I was really afraid to leave the vicinity of my neurosurgeon and my physical therapist because I didn't know really what to expect once we got to Ecuador or wherever we ended up moving. So I convinced Amelia that we needed to move into a tiny apartment for a year and make sure that I was good to go before we really committed to moving abroad.
Well, we also went on our exploratory trip because I needed the convincing to move us to another country that I didn't really know anything about at the time. And JP was just ready to go without even checking it out. But I was like, no way. But once we came to Ecuador, I fell in love.
Yeah, I was so tired of the system. And I felt like we were on a hamster wheel running around as fast as we could, not getting anywhere. We talked about my health insurance issues in a previous video. I couldn't afford health insurance anymore. So I had to go on Amelia's company plan, which was not good insurance. And if I had another surgery, we would have been further in debt at a minimum. And worst case, we would have gone bankrupt.
But instead, we moved to Ecuador. We were able to change our expenses from $5,000 a month to $1,500 a month for both of us, living a much higher quality of life. And now we are completely debt-free. No mas.
No mas, after 3 years. So when we first moved here, we lived on, the first year was about $1,500 a month. And it ranged between $1,500 and $1,800 a month for about the first the first 4 years that we lived here. We just were pretty frugal. We tried not to spend money we didn't need to. We didn't travel a lot. A lot of people say, oh, the only reason it was that cheap is because you didn't go back to the United States. Well, we haven't been back in 3.5 years.
Well, that's actually not true, because I did go back to the U.S. several times in the first year and a half we lived here. And we still were able to pay off all of our debt.
Yeah, Amelia went back for her job. I stayed at home, took care of our baby dogs, our fur babies.
Yes.
Yeah, so that helped us save money by me not traveling with her. But it was just so much cheaper here. So in Ecuador Ecuador is not the only country with a much lower cost of living than the United States. The cost of living here is much lower, but the cost of things are much higher. So anything with a plug, TVs, electronics, appliances, cars, motorcycles, those kinds of things are more expensive in Ecuador. But things like food, utilities, health insurance, health care, all of that is a fraction of the cost here. And that's where we were spending all of our money in the United States.
Right. Our food bill in the U.S. was, quadruple what it is here.
Yeah.
Our cell phones were quadruple. Everything was basically quadruple.
Yeah. Like our internet access in Denver was $120 a month for crappy cable service. And here in Ecuador, we pay $45 a month, and generally we get 75 meg up and down, although sometimes when I check it, it's 100 meg upload and download. That's crazy for $45 a month. And it's more reliable. It doesn't go out all the time.
And our cell phone bill here is only $20 a month. It's actually under $20. It's $18 a month.
We're constantly shocked by how much more affordable all the things we need to live on our daily lives are. Another thing is we don't have cars here. Public transportation is super cheap and easy, so we generally just take cabs. Usually our cab ride runs about $2, and that's across town. We spend about $25 a month on cabs, and that's about the cost of our transportation each month. We walk everywhere. That saves us a lot of money. Also has helped us to lose weight. Watch our early videos. You can see us losing weight as we go along. Amelia's hair went from brown to gray.
We are aging in reverse, except for my gray, because we're both so much healthier. Like JP said, we walk. We're so much less stressed. We eat such high quality food here, and the food is so affordable. The organic and even the inorganic produce is incredibly affordable and super flavorful here. And our biggest expense is rent, and the rent is significantly less for so much more than what we had in Denver. Our house we rented in Cuenca was fully furnished, and it was only $800 a month. And we're talking a full house.
Yeah, 3-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom house in a really nice neighborhood with a courtyard, which we wanted for our dogs so they could go outside. And then we moved to the small beach town of Olón, Ecuador.
Living on the beach has been a lifelong dream of mine ever since I made my first trip to Mexico. I never dreamed I would be living in a beach town in Ecuador, but I loved it. Oh my gosh, I loved it so much. I learned how to surf. We took long walks on the beach every day. Our lifestyle was awesome. JP didn't like it quite as much as I did because it was a really small town, but it was a great place to ride out the pandemic. We felt very safe there.
I grew up in a small Kansas farm town, and I prefer a city. Everybody has their own preferences. Mine is a city. The nice thing, though, about Olón is our cost of living was super low there. We rented a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo with a big backyard for the dogs for only $700 a month. That included the internet and tap water.
Every other day we went up to one of the corner mercaditos to buy some fresh fruits and vegetables, and then we would head over to Montanita, which was the next town over, to the Tia, just to pick up a few other staples. Life was very simple.
Muy tranquilo.
Yes.
It was like the most tranquilo experience I've ever had in my life. It was so relaxing. Picture like Jimmy Buffett, like the places he sings about, that's where we lived.
And that is where we finished paying off my student loan. So it will always have a special place in my heart.
Yeah, that was the beauty of moving here, is we reduced our cost of living so much while still maintaining our United States income that we were able to use the difference there to pay off all of our debt, which is a huge, huge relief. I honestly didn't think we would ever do that. We kept going into more debt in the U.S., And it was so expensive there that I just never even envisioned a life without debt.
I don't feel like we ever sacrificed anything. First of all, I do not miss having a car at all. A lot of people ask why we don't have a car. Let me tell you, after 4 years of not driving, I don't ever want to drive again. That is one giant stress relief for me. I love walking. We can walk everywhere. We get our exercise. We get to see so much more of the city or the town we're in. We meet more of our neighbors and get to know everybody along our path. It's just wonderful. And we eat out. We went out with friends. And speaking of friends, we have met people from all around the world and become better friends with them. And our Spanish has improved substantially.
We just had Amelia's birthday party when we were visiting our friends in Cuenca. And her birthday party, we had people from Ecuador, Yemen, Iran, India, and the United States. It's like such a melting pot here. We know people from everywhere.
So maybe we don't do as much consumerism shopping sort of thing here in Ecuador, but I feel like our experiences far outweigh the ability to order from Amazon.
You can order from Amazon, but it costs more in shipping than the price of the product. So
and you don't need to.
Yeah, it's cost prohibitive, and you can find almost everything here. Ecuador is not great for specialty items like you can buy on Amazon. You can't find even in a store. It's hard to find those things here, but we make do. We have learned how to do the Ecuador scavenger hunt like we talk about in our other videos, that you have to go to multiple places and to look for things. It's kind of fun. And then we moved to Manta, Ecuador, where I got to fulfill my lifelong dream of living in a high-rise condo with an ocean view. And that place was decked out. We loved it there. Our rent went up quite a bit to live there. So we were spending closer to $2,500 per month when we lived in Manta. But we had paid off all of our debt. Now we had discretionary income, and we were able to start saving for retirement too while we lived there, living a higher quality of life. Anywhere in the U.S. that had an ocean view like that would have been 3 times more.
There's no way we could have afforded that, especially that place. It was like living in a resort. It had 2 pools, and it was overlooking the ocean.
Right on the beach.
Yeah, it was in a gated community. We felt super safe there. We had a variety of neighbors from Ecuador and the United States and Canada, which was pretty cool. We just loved it. Daisy, however, didn't like it that much.
Daisy did not like riding on an elevator. She hates elevators, and we had to take it like 5 or 6 times a day. She was not happy living there.
Moving abroad allowed us to take back control of our lives. It was so empowering and truly life-changing.
And, you know, you can do it too. A lot of people say, I wish we could do what you're doing. Well, you can. And the nice thing is it doesn't have to be forever. A lot of people think, oh, if I leave, it has to be forever. I have to give up my U.S. citizenship. No to both of those. You can move abroad long enough to pay off your debt or maybe boost your retirement savings, and then move back to the U.S. if you want to in a few years once you feel like you're on better financial footing.
A lot of countries offer 1 to 2 year visas. That may be all you need just to get ahead or get caught up. Plus, if you could work remotely like we did, I was able to convert my job to online work. I was able to keep making American dollars, which goes a lot further here in Ecuador or in a lot of other countries.
There are a lot of low-cost countries to choose from, and most of them have a variety of visa options. They really like the money that the expats, the gringos, import from their home country. So they've made it pretty easy for you to move there for either a short period of time or even longer.
We chose Ecuador for a variety of reasons that we talked about in a previous video, so we will link that below so you guys can check that out.
Yeah, and if you're thinking about moving to Ecuador, we created an Ecuador Expat Fast Track that will walk you through every step of the process of moving here from A to Z. It's got a lot of money-saving tips in there and a downloadable Move Abroad checklist. Once you check that last item off, you will be living in Ecuador. Yay. So also check below for that link. It's got 63 videos and a ton of written content. We didn't leave anything out. So all the hard, painful lessons we learned, we're going to share them with you. And the first 10 people to sign up will get a 20% discount.
We've been living in Ecuador for 5 years now, and we absolutely love it. I cannot imagine living anywhere else. And people ask us that. Would you move to another country or move back to the United States? And the answer is we will go and visit, but we have no plans on leaving Ecuador. We still haven't even seen everything there is to see here.
Yeah, we have the Amazon, you've got the mountains, the Pacific Beach, the coastal area where we lived. You have the Galapagos. We went to the Mindo cloud forest and had hummingbirds land on our hands. We saw toucans up close and personal. That was a dream of mine too, to see toucans in real life.
It was incredible. We still think Ecuador is the best place to start your new life abroad.
Yeah, it's super easy for expats to land here and get used to a different culture, a different way of life. And we have a few hundred videos that you can binge watch to help you build your confidence to do what we did.
But there are other popular choices such as Mexico, Colombia, Costa Rica, and Peru, Portugal if you're thinking Europe.
And Panama.
Oh, yes, Panama.
And we do have plans to visit those countries because we want to be able to compare and contrast because we know Ecuador isn't perfect for everyone. So a lot of people are considering other countries. We want to be able to show those and do comparison videos.
Plus, if you want to live a digital nomad lifestyle, you could go all over the place and still save money.
Yes.
How cool is that?
What a cool life that would be.
I know.
If you found this video helpful or inspiring, we think you're going to love that one.
We are just regular people and we did this. You can do it too.
Yes, you can. All right, guys, leave us a like before you go, and we will see you all in our next video.
Ciao.
Ciao.